26 Northern Terrafly runway heading, runway 5. Clear for takeoff.
From Psychic Sundays to E.T. Contact and everything in between, this is Spaced Out Sunday's Cosmic Passport with host Elizabeth Anglin.
Check it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That'd be great. So guys, smoke now.
You can connect with Elizabeth on Skype at 505-908-9558 and Spirit for Peace. Follow Liz on Twitter at Elizabeth Anglin and hashtag SpacedOutRadio. And you can connect with us on the web at spacedoutradio.com.
I feel the need for speed.
You feel it over and over again. We take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again.
Chillers, real now. Smoke off now.
This is the love we live again.
Chillers, keep on out. Contact. Easing up. Chillers, real now. Real now. One left.
Don't look much like Los Angeles to me. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Now taking you on a spiritual journey from the desert of New Mexico this Sunday night, here's Spaced Out Sunday's Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin.
So put yourself on mute. Here we go. Hey, good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Cosmic Passport and Psychic Sunday. This is Elizabeth Anglin. I'm your host, coming to you from the Spaced Out Radio Cosmic Cruisemobile. We are coming to you live from the stormy, windy, wild, and wonderful desert Southwest. Hey, guess what? It's dry down here. We haven't had any rain. We have wind. We've got it all down here in Madrid, New Mexico, except for rain, except for snow. So here, I'm going to take a drink of tea. Now, if you're listening from somewhere else in North America, like WQEE 99 Rock, the Key in Noonan, Georgia, I hear it's not warm there, but I bet you got a lot more moisture. At spacedoutradio.com, you could be listening from anywhere, so thank you for being here on the United Public Radio Network, Renegade Talk Radio, and the Fringe.fm. Thank you guys for listening. We also want to give thanks to guitar god Ron Bumblefoot Thal, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy. He creates the music that makes Spaced Out Radio Weekend Rock, the official spacedoutradio.com music. Also, you can check us out on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Radio. On Facebook, you can follow me at Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download our shows from iTunes. We're also on RadioGuide.fm, TalkStream Live, and on Stitcher. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. If you go to patreon.com, we have some cool offers for you, our listeners, there as well. Make sure you check those out. And we do have a GoFundMe. We are getting, for Spaced Out Radio, some new equipment so we can add more terrestrial radio stations. So go to GoFundMe, Spaced Out Radio. Check out what we're doing there. Give generously, give often, give soon. If you wanted to take part in the show tonight, you'll have to sign into one of our chat rooms on Spreaker or on the chat room on Facebook on the SOR Space Travelers Club. Please also check out the news section. We've got some really neat articles by Abby Lee there this week, and you can check out Dave Scott's latest blog there. We've also got some super cool videos from UFO seekers and the amazing Tim Doyle. So check out spacedoutradio.com if you haven't been there lately. It's new, it's improved, it looks pretty sweet. If you've had an experience you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our researchers are ready to help you find out what's going on. Again, a big thanks to everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key, everybody out of Renegade Talk Radio and Las Vegas United Public Radio Network. Thank you guys for listening. Tonight we have psychics. Well, we will have psychics if Skype will let us, but right now we have Kelly DelBianco, who is a galactic psychic, and I invited in some more galactic psychics, and we're just trying to get them on our Skype as we are talking right now. Kelly, what have you been up to?
Oh my goodness, I've been up to so much. So many things have changed since I was last here. I've brought in a new healing modality with the archangels, and I've opened up to new forms of energy. When I'm walking down the street, it's like, whoa, what just walked by me now? It's a new awakening for me.
That's great. So, how is the galactic reading going for you?
The galactic reading's going very well. I've introduced Grandfather out more into the world, and he comes with great raves, so I'm very happy for having Grandfather. Galactically, it has just opened up since I've become aware of exactly where I come from and what I've moved through. The energy that is open to me is absolutely incredible. And what the universe has brought to me to elevate my vibration higher and my knowledge and wisdom, it's amazing to me. It's like everything is just like a ball rolling down a hill, and I just can't seem to keep up with it. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What are some of the things that you've been learning and
can't
doing?
Hear you.
What are some of the things that you've been learning and doing?
You're fading in and out.
Oh, it's because we have Skype coming in. Hang on. Here we got Skeeter Welhouse coming in. Skeeter. Hello. Hey, Skeeter.
Hey. Hi, hon.
Hi. So I've just put Kelly on hold.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Skeeter, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, I have to go ahead and go back to the other call and put your number in and add you to it. So could you give me another couple minutes and then I'll call you back? Or you can call me. Either one. I can't get you from here to there. Thanks.
You can call me back.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
No problem.
Hey, Kelly.
With the archangels, it's quite amazing.
Oh, hi.
Are you there?
Yeah, you know what's happening?
Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear you before.
Skeeter's trying to call in, and she didn't give me the right number to call her. So, sorry, folks, we're just trying to get everybody in to the room, and Skype has changed what they will allow. So I've got to add somebody. Hang on, we're going to get a little dial tone here. And this is just me calling Miss Skeeter Welhouse. So y'all know Skeeter from earlier in 2017. Shoot. That is not going to work. Okay, we'll try another thing.
Oh, that's okay. You know,
tell the story.
We were going to talk. We were going to talk tonight about. Yeah. Tell a story, right?
Yeah, tell a story. Go ahead, Kelly. Tell us a story.
I've started being like a bit of a psychic nanny.
Okay.
Okay.
I need a nanny.
I started being a bit of a psychic nanny.
Okay.
Are you there?
I can
Yeah,
hear you.
we
Yeah.
keep going in and out for me anyways. It's hilarious. Okay, so I started with Archangel Michael, and he started to say, well, what you need to do is channel us, and you need to astral travel with us, 2 people, and then we're going to do all the healing work, and you're going to be present. So you're going to see everything that's going on, and you're going to understand what we're doing. And then you're going to come back and you're going to tell them what we did and how we worked on them and what we said. So I thought, wow, is this really going to work? So I started off doing it in person. And then I've taken on the quote psychic nanny, where I am taking care of a family, and I do it by distance, and I astral travel, and I go with the archangels, and each archangel will work on them. Sometimes it's Michael that comes and Raphael, or sometimes Shamuel or Sandolphin. Different archangels arrive, and they do different things. They create self-love, or they need to clean out or tell me that they need to watch certain things in their body, cholesterols, there's problems with acid reflux. I pass all of this on, and it's been really amazing for me. Just a really new energy that I've taken on since awakening to my actual starseed. Yeah.
That's great. That's really
Still working there?
Yeah, Skype is
Yeah,
not...
it is.
It's
It's
Skype
very,
is not,
it's,
yeah, go ahead. Can you hear me?
yeah. So it's been really, really, yeah, I can hear you. So it's been a really amazing adventure, and it's something new that they have brought to me. And also, you know, they are moving me into working. I am an Akashic Records master. So they're moving me into working with businesses in the Akasha.
Oh, wow.
So that I can go through the things in your past, in your records, that are holding you back from moving your business forward, and help you to release those, so that, and help you where the blocks are holding in the business, so it can be released, and so that your business can move forward. So they're moving me into that right now.
That's great.
So there's a lot of stuff coming on. I've been working in the Reiki energy a lot lately, and I'm really noticing a difference when I'm sitting in the Reiki energy, that my connections to my galactic is much stronger. And I just asked to connect with the Sirius Council. As you know, Paul, last time we were on, told me in between breaks that I sit on the Sirius Council.
Oh, are you still there?
And in doing so, yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Keep going.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So in doing so, I sat tonight now and asked the council in, and I had such a rush of energy over me that I actually moved my hands out of Reiki position, because I got a little overtaken by the rush of energy. So I really, for me, energy has become very vibrant and very alive for me. And when I did my Reiki opening, I also started to float out of my chair. And if I could have gotten my backside out of it, I would have. My legs and arms were all in the air. So I'm very much attuned, more so than when I last spoke to you, about energy and how to move energy and how to flow with energy. And so it's really creating a opportunity of great healing for my clients, and a way for me to really bring forth my purpose as a star seed on here, to raise that vibration and work in the collective whole. Yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful. All right. So speaking of collective whole, we are trying to get Jeanette Dames, who's part of our collective whole, and Skeeter Welhouse on here. Guys who are listening, look, you're going to hear some music for a little bit, and it's going to be the end music, but it's not the end of the show. It's just the end of me trying to do this while running the board. And listen to this bumblefoot for a bit while we go back and see what we can do with our Skype connection. I'll be back in a moment. Here's some bumblefoot. Enjoy. Okay, I'm going to hang up on you.
Okay. If you can't get me back on, if it's a problem with Skype, you can.
In their sleep since yesterday, they stopped counting by the last mile. No one asking to be saved, and the cold wind keeps on blowing. I let it lead me astray, looking for a path to follow in the darkest of our days. And I crossed all the lines we had drawn, cut all the ties we had formed, told all the lies to myself, while sleepwalking through it all. And I was knelt before the crossing when they found me all alone. They said we need someone who needs answers, and you've been longing to be told. All the lost ones, they keep calling, with their faces to the ground. To the band our steps are marching, growing distant from the sound. And I crossed all the lines we had drawn, cut all the ties we had formed, told all the lies to myself, while sleepwalking through it all. From where I think I am, million saints are walking in their sleep since yesterday. They stopped counting by the last mile. No one asking to be saved. And the cold wind keeps on blowing. I let it lead me astray, looking for a path to follow in the darkest of our days. And I crossed all the lines we had drawn, cut all the ties we had formed, told all the lies to myself while sleepwalking through it all. And I was knelt before the crossing when they found me all alone. They said we need someone who needs answers, and you've been longing to be told. All the lost ones, they keep calling with their faces to the ground. To the band our steps are marching, growing distant from the sound. And I crossed all the lines we had drawn, cut all the ties we had formed, told all the lies to myself while sleepwalking through it all. From where I think I am, from who I really am.
We are back. We have psychics. We also called some random dude in who's like a park ranger in Arizona, comes up as Paul Simons, who we can't seem to get. So Ron, whoever you are, who's a park ranger in Arizona, we apologize for that. But we have Skeeter Welhouse. Skeeter, how you doing?
Good. How are you, hon?
I'm doing okay. I am so glad I got you on the phone. Jeanette Dames, how are you doing?
I'm awesome.
Yay! Yay!
Especially
Your
'cause
team.
the Eagles won.
They won. They did.
They won.
Okay, we're going to have to ask some football questions. Let's see. Skeeter, did you watch the game?
No, I did not, but I live in Seahawk country, and from the sounds of the fireworks, I'm willing to bet the Eagles won.
You're right.
Yeah, they did.
I'm in Seahawk country too. Where are you?
I am smack dab between Seattle and Tacoma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Great. Well, I actually lived for 19 years in New England, and you know what? I don't feel bad at all. I really don't. I'm
good.
Like, yeah, whatever. You silly football manipulating people, you know, whatever it was that you did before when you manipulated footballs. So here's my first question then. Do you believe, now this has probably all come out and it's probably, do you believe that the football manipulation of making the footballs less football-y, less full of air, actually happened and that it was willfully done by the Patriots? Yes, you do. Of course you do.
Because he said that. He admitted it.
Okay. And do you believe that karma had anything to do with tonight's win?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Because of, and I do even more so because of the way that it happened. Because he literally made mistakes that are not typical of him in the last quarter. And it was, yeah, he was off, and there was something manipulating Matt that was bigger than any of us.
So basically, it was like, guess what? You can't win by cheating in this country. I think we've seen that
Anymore.
a few times.
Yeah.
Anymore. Very good. Well, guys who are listening, here's what we're doing tonight. We're asking the big questions of our three universal psychics and angel practitioners who are working with archangels. We have Kelly DelBianco, who's told us what she's up to. Jeanette Dames, angel therapist, who was on just a little bit ago. But Jeanette, do you want to tell people what you've been up to?
In terms of...
Well, you have a class coming up, don't you? You have an event.
No, I have a women's weekend gathering called I Am Worth It Northwest that we do every year. And this year we have some really, really spectacular speakers that are going to be here. And if you live in the Northwest or want to visit, this is the time to do it. April 21st and 22nd is a weekend for women by women. It's to celebrate your worth by giving yourself the gift of a weekend in Port Townsend at Fort Worden and spending time with these incredible speakers.
Great. And how did people find out about that if they want to go?
I am worth it nw.com. Everything's on the website. All the authors and speakers, Carrie Campbell, Tracy McMerritt, Lorna Shashinda, Kimberly Palm, Trina Brunk, Sarah Nash, and myself.
Did we lose you, Kelly?
You did lose me, so I'm on my phone.
I put everybody else on hold. I don't have your phone number in the call. Can you try Skype again? Hello?
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 Oh, Kelly. Kelly,
there we go. Yeah. Okay. I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay, we got a wreck. Sorry about that. Kelly, so we have Jeanette, we have Kelly, we have Skeeter still?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. Did you get out, and so you got out the women's thing or no? Probably not. Finish that because I think that Kelly's calling back in got in the way.
Well, I felt like I finished it, but I don't know what you guys are hearing. It's I Am Worth It, all together, no spaces, NW as in Northwest.com.
Cool. Very cool.
I Am Worth It Northwest.com.
And I can tell you that it is worth going to do anything with Jeanette Dames because she's really fun. We're going to have so much fun, especially if Skype is nice to us the rest of the evening. Skeeter Welhouse, you are back. What have you been up to?
I have been on my own spiritual journey and connecting with new guides and getting new downloads and uploads and discovering more and more about this wild universe and my job in it. I've been working out of a beautiful little shop in Tacoma called Crescent Moon Gifts, and I'm holding classes there. In fact, I've got one coming up on past life work. I'm getting ready to get my past life hypnotherapy back up and going so I can help people travel back so that they can work forward. Just all sorts of fun stuff, hon. What do you want to start with? Oh, and I've been hanging out with ET more often. A good friend, mutual friend of ours, Doc. I don't know if you remember him, but he's someone else who's been on the show with another wonderful psychic, has joined me and has been helping me out a bit.
Well,
so
cool.
It's been a lot of fun.
Good deal. Skeeter, if people want to contact you for a reading, how do they do that?
You can hit me up at bluemoonweaver.com or at bluemoonweaver@gmail.com.
Okay. And Kelly, if people want to see you,
Yeah, they can go to my website. It's Ancient Veils, AncientVeils.ca, or they can hit me up at ancientveils@gmail.com.
Okay, ancientveils.ca.
Yep.
You're in Canada.
I am. I'm in Canucksville.
That's what that means.
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia.
She's from Vancouver. Okay, so the rules are we're asking questions about big things. We're asking questions about aliens. We're asking questions about world events, past world events, conspiracy theories, this year, big world events, and possible future world events. Also, it could be interdimensional, universal events. It can be wild stuff. And what I'd like you to do, psychics, is do two things. If you can take a quick look at something, if you haven't looked at it before, it hasn't come up in other readings, and so you don't already have some information on it. Take a quick look at it, and then you can also give your opinion if you have an opinion. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
So I have some. I'm going to start with my silly question of the night. This is a real woman's question. Maybe that's why Paul didn't come on. But was Joan of Arc an alien operative, a Christian mystic, or just a girl with a psychiatric illness, or something else?
What was the second one?
Can you name all those viability?
I mean, come on. Joan of Arc was a warrior woman. She kicked butt. What made her do it? I've always, I've gotten different things over the years about her. I think she was pretty freaking awesome. But it's Joan of Arc. Was she an alien operative in a human body? Was she a Christian mystic? Was she just a girl with a psychiatric illness? Or was she something altogether different? What do you get on Joan of Arc?
Something different altogether.
Okay.
She did have a lot going on in her head, but a lot of it was outside stuff.
Outside of this realm, or?
Well, to be real honest, I'm being hit up by my guides. I'm being told she had a lot of guides, people who were giving her inside information. I wouldn't say specifically ET, but don't cut them out, they say. A lot of big guides, like the angels, were definitely on her side.
Yeah, I want to agree with that.
A lot of angels seriously just guarding her.
Okay.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, because the minute I asked my guides, they told me that she's connected to the angels and that she is working through the angelic voice and through the angelic actions. So that was the same exact what I had.
So she really was divinely inspired and guided.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Jeanette?
Well, I do agree that she was divinely inspired, but I do think she was also presenting as a warrior because she needed to be at that time. She had to prove to people that women could stand in that kind of power.
Okay.
So, yeah, warrior for sure.
Warrior.
Yeah, and that would, that would put her in tune with working with the archangels.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Right. And I can see how you're saying that. I get chills when you say that, Jeanette, because it really was the end of the 100 Years' War, and women had been basically slaughtered and raped and abused for a long, long time. So it really was time for a woman to stand up and say, we're not just doormats,
Yeah.
We're more than that. Awesome. Does anybody else have a question they want to ask?
You have my question I sent you, right?
Oh, remind me
Do
of
you
it.
still have that?
Yeah.
There was the one about portals?
Yeah. Ask your question about portals. What do we think about portals? Yeah.
My question is, are we surrounded by portals everywhere? And that if we were able to change our vibration up or down or sideways, we could walk through, into, and out of portals all the time, all day long, if we chose. And that there are beings doing that around us that we can't quite feel or touch because we're not quite at that vibration yet.
Can I say hell yes?
Yeah, can I say hell yes too? I heard that.
Oh, God. Yes. Oh, my God. That is one of the things that I've been playing with lately. In fact, recently me and my daughter got caught in one of those vibrations. It was absolutely perfect because I felt like I was having a stroke because it just hit. And I started calling in my guides and guardians. My daughter had conveniently just texted her friend, so we had a timestamp of when it hit and when we came out of it. And we lost about 15 minutes worth of time between the time that I felt it hit and the time that it finally reset. And I mean,
what did it feel like?
In our real time, it was seconds. It felt like getting caught in a really big, thick, gooey net. And for me, psychically, it was like all of a sudden there was just this massive, intense download of information just pouring in. Half of it I understood, a quarter of it I maybe heard, and what little bit that did make it in is still processing in my head because it was just absolutely intense. And I'm going to my guides going, are we under attack? What's going on? Earthquake, death, am I dying? I'm not ready to die. I just died in March. It was just fantastic. But the fact that we actually were able to timestamp it just made it absolutely even better. Upon our return to the same area, the town that this had hit in, we did not see on the way back. Instead, my daughter noticed a gray in the area. We had another incident like this with me and another friend where we were headed out, and we had something similar to this happen. And I'm working on a situation right now where we are dealing with a porthole kidnapping in a way. So it's really kind of interesting that you would ask that question because that's something that I have been more and more pulled into. Especially the more work I'm doing with past lives because we're discovering there's such a tie-in with past lives can overlap. In fact, multiple souls can share a single person due to these overlaps in time periods and portholes. Does that answer your question, I hope?
Well, yeah, I was just curious because someone that I work with had an experience with what only thing that he could describe it as was a Bigfoot. And sounded like this was up in some acreage outside of town and heard like a horrible screeching metal on metal sound, looked up and saw this, what we would call Bigfoot, about 8 feet tall, he said about 500 feet away. And about 20 seconds later, he heard the same screeching sound, looked up, and the creature was only about 100 feet away. And then started loping, charging toward him. And when he got about 30 feet away from him, he just disappeared. Ooh. And I said, well,
that's not unusual.
I'm getting goosebumps over it again. I said, I don't think he was running toward you. He was running toward the portal. And he was being called, and that's what the sound was. But this is only a few miles from where I live. So I'm thinking, it's just, I can't stop thinking about it since he told me this story. That it's got to be everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
The Bigfoots are notorious for their portholes and just that. One friend called it digitalizing, where they just kind of that little weird. What is it? What they disappear. And it looks like
I don't. That's what I don't know anything about that, and so that's why I was asking the question because I'd never heard of that. But it really started to make sense to me now.
Yeah, I haven't had that experience with the portals, though I know the portals are like that. But I have portals in my home and on my property, which spirit comes back and forth through a lot. And I actually had to set portal keepers to contain what was coming through. So I have them in my life daily, but I have them under control because I have a very nice galactic portal keeper now.
So you have Bigfoots in your life daily or all kinds of creatures or beings coming through?
I have beings and such coming through, and they are not always of the nice generic brand. So I've had to place a intention with a galactic portal keeper, because what is coming through is coming from the galactic, and it's also coming from the underworld.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my experience is more, well, I've heard of experiences that are with movable portals that people have had. Some have been good, some have been bad. I had a friend who was basically attacked through a portal that opened up in his apartment, and he is a rehab. He's a re-abductee, and he wasn't doing something that they wanted him to do with his telekinetic abilities, and they opened up a portal, got in his apartment, and beat the crap out of him. And then something happened that stopped them before they killed him, and they went back through the portal and left. And his doors were locked. He had been watching TV, and it took over a day for his roommates to find him because they realized they hadn't seen him. He's in an apartment with other roommates, but his door to his room was locked, and they finally started to break down the door and found him all beaten up in his room. When we looked at it, that's, remote viewed it, that's what we saw. Somebody had opened up a portal into his apartment. Now, that's never happened to me personally, but I have had portals on my land up at the ranch in Colorado where the Bigfoot would come, and they would, if they felt like there was an alien presence or a presence they didn't like, they would get very obvious. Like, they would start making stone structures, like piling up stones, piling up bricks. They would make calls at night and whoops at night, and they would do a lot of knocking on trees. And there was one year in particular, I think it was 2012 or 2013, that there was a lot of alien presence, and they just went nuts. I mean, the Bigfoot, you could hear them. And I had done a reading about the whole Uncompahgre Plateau, about, these different sort of set portals that were there, that the Bigfoot, the younger men were watching all the time. But this was portals that were on my property that they didn't like that they were happening.
So what is their origination? Where are they coming from? Do we have any clue?
Skeeter.
The portholes or the Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot.
Oh, that's a good question.
The Bigfoot, from my observation, there is a genetic line of Bigfoot, and then there's a kind of an ET version. I had the pleasure of growing up with one when I was little, and Elizabeth was really sweet enough to let me know that it was one of the ET, the Echoes. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Echoes.
Is that the proper name for them?
Yeah, that's the name.
And they're kind of like the advanced version. It's like Bigfoot 2.0, and they're very helpful. They are the ones who move in and out of the portholes, I have noticed.
Okay.
The more genetic, local-grown ones aren't as readily seen around the portholes or work with them. If they're with a group of echoes, it's kind of like they've been trained to or adapted to, but it's not a natural thing. So we've got a little bit of local yokels and outside visitors when it comes to Bigfoot. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Elizabeth?
I agree.
So,
yeah.
So are they dangerous? Do you feel like... I don't feel like they are.
No.
I've never felt in danger.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
There have been times when I've done a lot of backpacking by myself in Washington, and I've never, ever felt afraid, but there have been times when I felt someone was watching me. And I just assumed for a long time that they were bears, because bears will just watch you. So will cougars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never ever felt afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up between New Mexico and Colorado, and I would wander off into the Rockies all the time, and it was always one of the Echo Bigfoot who would kind of like psychically bonk me in the right direction where I needed to go and make sure I got home. But yeah, it does. It feels like an intense looking. And as I'm starting to explore here in Washington State, I get the same feel, like there's something there, but it's more inquisitive or protective than actually thinking about eating me or harming me.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I'm really fascinated with it, and I'm sort of becoming a little bit obsessed with it now because it's new to me.
Okay, Kelly, do you have any Bigfoot experience or information?
I've never run into a Bigfoot, and I live very close to the Washington border, and I've been down there, and I grew up in the country, and I've never had a Bigfoot. Never.
Okay.
Never, ever.
All righty. Well, it happens when it happens. It doesn't happen if it doesn't happen. Here's something for us to psychically look at, because I have never seen this, so I'm not sure if it's a silly question or a real question. AK Cog says to ask if there are any underwater Bigfoot. So let's look and see. Are there any underwater Bigfoot? And we'll have to play the Jeopardy music because it's going to take me a while to do this.
So I get an immediate yes that they are walking.
I'm getting a yes.
I'm getting a yes that they swim. I'm getting
yeah, the image they're sending me is kind of like a beaver Bigfoot. You know, they go under and they've got these like little beaver dens, and yeah, they go under the water.
Yeah, and they're big. Yeah. Go ahead.
I would agree. I'm getting a yes on that too, but they're not quite as exactly we would picture a Bigfoot on Earth, like walking on the ground. They're a different species, and they're adapted to that water, and it's quite interesting. I'm almost hearing that they have that alien connection in them, into maybe the reptile. So we'll see what everyone thinks about that.
Reptile are like platypus.
That's yeah.
You know,
it's an interesting. I'm not hearing a no. So
okay, so I have to tell you about my studies of Native American ethnology from when I wanted to find out how many times Native Americans had abductions that were like alien abductions. And in the Northwest, there were abductions by the Otter Man, who was like a Bigfoot, but he was like a beaver, and he used to take women into the river, and he would abduct them for the purpose of mating with them. Have you guys in the Northwest ever heard of that? I found this in the basement of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology library. So, I mean...
If you had to find it there, I don't think I found it there.
You had to dig for that one.
I was in the basement, and that's what this sounds like. It sounds like you're talking about the Otter Man. But I don't know. Would that be what they were talking about? Can we read that? Is that what they meant?
What you just described matches what I saw. So I'm going to throw that out there.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I saw and what they were downloading to me was definitely something that did not look exactly like land Bigfoot, but was acclimatized to the water. So why not?
Okay. So there you go, Cog. We have water Bigfoot that we have not really looked at before. Hey, Eric Markham, there is such a creature that was in Michigan. Can you remind us of the name on the Spreaker chat room of what that creature was? The something or something monster? I can't remember what it was. So, and anybody else who wants to ask a question in chat, please make it in all caps and we will include it.
So did anybody ever see that show on mermaids?
No.
The fake one?
No.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was very real, but a lot of people said, "Oh, it's just a bunch of hooey." That's just the next question I'm throwing out. What about the mermaids? And what one are you saying that was fake? The show.
That I know which one you were talking about. It's the one that
it was a documentary.
Discovery Channel did. It was a documentary on mermaids.
Yeah.
And Discovery Channel did come back and say that, yes, they did manipulate the facts. It was supposed to be a mockumentary.
But I
And
don't believe
a
that's
lot of
true.
people were very upset by it because they did have some really good information in it that was based on what a lot of
I think they
cryptozoologists have done.
Yeah, I think they were told they had to come back and say that by the government because the government knows all of this is real and they don't want anybody else to know.
I agree.
Yeah, because why would Discovery Channel do it as a mockumentary
And then retract it?
And
yeah,
then retract it.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
your editor would have edited you out, or
Yeah.
edited you into making funny music, funny show, funny this,
Mhm.
funny that before they did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It never came forth as a mockumentary, right? It came forth as a documentary.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did that at the same time. They also did the mega shark documentary that they presented as a documentary, which I agree had to be more documentary, but also came back and said that was a mockumentary. They had several several documentaries that they put out at that exact same time going over crypto zoology specimens like mermaids, the dinosaurs, things like that. And they were very quick to put them out, build up the hype, get their numbers, and then after they got their numbers, they came back and each and every single one of them said that, oh, sorry, this was a mockumentary meant for entertainment. And if you go back at the beginning of each and every single one, it says this is not based on anything real. Now, like you guys are saying, there is a lot to it, and the cryptozoology group have come forward and said there was a lot of real information in those mockumentaries, making them probable documentaries. But because they went in and played with it a bit, it got really confusing. And I agree with you. It's kind of like one of those things that if we throw it at you and say this is real, but, oh, it's a joke, then it's kind of like, oh, yeah, so-and-so said that they saw this, and everybody else thought that, oh, it was just a joke, and, it was actually little Tommy with a tin pan and some fishing string.
But it's just like the attorney in the courtroom that gets it out there, and then they say, oh, you can't use that.
But it's already out there.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about these super sharks and super jaws and all of this, there is going to be a little hysteria, don't you think? So why not pull that back?
Yeah. And Eric's got a great comment in the feed, and it's a little bit Orson Welles, when they played War of the Worlds on the radio and didn't say, hey, it's a mockumentary or a joke or anything, they actually read it as if it was real time happening. Everyone became very, very paranoid, and then afterwards they were very cynical of anything else related to aliens. And in fact, we still have a hard time about being real on aliens. So even if you go down to Roswell, New Mexico, it's kind of a joke, tongue-in-cheek. But if you actually go out there and you're sitting there going, okay, and I myself can't see there are not mermaids. There's just something about that energy that keeps calling me back.
Okay.
But that was the whole purpose of these mockumentaries, was to pull basically an Orson Welles, War of the Worlds. Hey, here they are. Oops, sorry, just a joke, and now everyone's cynical of it.
Dang government. Oh, my goodness. Hey, we are in our last minute here. I know, Jeanette, this hour, once we got going, it flew by. Jeanette, I know you got a question, so let's hang on to it until we get into the next hour.
Fine.
Everybody, give your contact info again, so if anybody wants to contact you. Skeeter, how do they get you?
BlueMoonWeaver.com.
Jeanette?
RiverAngelRanch.com.
And Kelly?
AncientVales.ca.
Because she's in Vancouver. And I am Elizabeth Anglin at ElizabethAnglin.com. But y'all know me, so, and a lot of you PM me all the time. So we will be back right after these messages with Jeanette's question, more mermaids, and answering questions from the chat room. I see them. I see them coming in. Thank you for posting them. We'll be right back after these messages to talk about them.
Hey, space travelers, it's Joe Roop, your host of Spaced Out Saturdays. Come join me as we explore the realms of the paranormal, the esoteric, and everything in between every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You know the truth is out there. Don't get caught sleepwalking. Come join Spaced Out Saturdays. That's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, right here on spacedoutradio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over the Spaced Out Radio night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report. It's free, and we're here to help.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our Advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio Live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Looking for nighttime adventure? Old school radio that delves into everything out of the norm? Then check us out at Spaced Out Radio. This is Dave Scott. Every Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we're going to take you on a wild ride ranging from conspiracies to true crime and every ghost, alien, and Sasquatch story in between. We're always live and we're always interactive with you. So join us at spacedoutradio.com, where together we own the night.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guests and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Elizabeth Anglin and SOR.
Hey, we are back with Cosmic Passport on Spaced Out Radio. This is this is the Psychic Roundtable, and I am your host, Elizabeth Anglin, coming to you live from Madrid, New Mexico. Hey, for all of you listening in from around North America and the world, I want to welcome you back. If you're on WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, if you're on spacedoutradio.com or the UPRN, United Public Radio Network, or KTLKTheFringe.com and Renegade Talk Radio. We also want to thank Ron Bumblefoot for making the music that makes Spaced Out Radio rock, the official spacedoutradio.com music. You can check us out on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Radio. On Facebook, you can follow me at Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download our shows from iTunes. We're also on RadioGuide.fm, TalkStream Live, and on Stitcher. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. If you go to patreon.com, we have some cool offers for you, our listeners, there as well. Make sure you check those out. If you are not yet taking part in the show, but you want to, we are going to be taking questions from the chat rooms tonight. If you go to the chat room on Spreaker, you can type your questions in all capital letters. But these are sort of big musings about the world. This is not, am I ever going to find love? No, it's not that kind of question. It is, were Jesus and Mary Magdalene married? What are the aliens doing? Has anybody found a real implant yet? Like patient 17. Big things. Did D.P. Cooper live and get to use his money or not? We're going to ask questions like that. You can ask similar questions in the chat room, on Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers Club, or on Spreaker. Hey, if you're on spacedoutradio.com, please check out the news section. There's a lot of cool stuff written by Abby Lee there. You can also check out some new videos from UFO Seekers and the amazing Tim Doyle. And Dave Scott's blog is around there somewhere as well. Check that as well. Check it out. And if you've had an experience you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. We have researchers ready to help you find out what's going on. Again, a big thanks to everybody listening from around the world at all of our member stations, Atlanta, KTLK, TheFringe.fm, Renegade Talk Radio, and UPRN. Thanks for being here, guys, tonight. Hey, we're going to have these ladies, these psychic women, these powerhouses of psychicness come back on here, and they have a lot to say about lots of stuff. And so, okay, Jeanette, did you have another question other than about your gremlin and your computer that we already answered for ourselves?
Well, it's just kind of a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Because I have an ET friend who has been contacting me, and we're starting to work together a lot more. And he prefers to be called an ET rather than an alien, but I keep hearing people referring to them as aliens. And they said he feels that there is a very negative connotation that comes with that word. So I wanted to know what you guys feel and what your contact with beings from other galaxies or planets in the multiverse, and if they have ever expressed that sentiment.
I can tell you right off.
I've gotten that.
Yeah, go ahead, Skeeter. ET is better. Alien it means you don't belong here. You're not right. You're not one of us. But ET just means that you could be terrestrial, but you could be above and beyond terrestrial. You could be visiting. You're extraterrestrial. So it's not as pejorative as the term alien. Alien means you're an other. You're not like us. Maybe we should beat you up or kill you. But ET is like, oh, you're just extra from Earth.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my galactic guides that I work with, they like me calling them star beings.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, they prefer to be called star beings, and in the second realm, they asked to be called galactic beings, and then, if I have to, ETs. That is their preference, and in that order. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you,
Skeeter.
Yeah, mine prefer ET over alien for sure. The ones that I'm working with, they prefer if I actually either identify them by what they are, or like in Doc's case, what his name is. So he has given me the name Doc, so I identify him as Doc. They're usually pretty good at giving me a name by which to refer them to, which is, I think, just proper manners, which they really do respect.
Yeah.
The alien is a bit derogatory.
Yeah.
It's a dismissive term almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. And my galactic guides are usually called by a name too. It makes it more of a personal connection for us, and it makes it easier for me to, they believe, connect with them. And but yeah, I don't think I would ever call my guide as an alien. I think that they believe it a derogatory term as well, because of the concept on Earth about aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly.
So I guess part of the reason I was asking is because I'm not sure who it was, but someone was talking a lot in the previous conversation about aliens, and so I was trying to clarify what that was in reference to.
Oh, yeah, ETs.
ETs. Aliens, sometimes I will use when I'm trying to cover a large number in a very quick amount of time.
Okay.
And normally it's not just ETs. It's something even more or exaggerated unto.
Okay.
I do get bonked for that because they are trying to teach me language, but like I told them, you guys need to teach me slowly. But usually when I use the term aliens, it's something a bit different than an ET for me. It's something that is normally with portholes is when I'll use alien because it's not always welcome.
Okay.
And I can't always ID it.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
I'll say aliens as a catch-all. a lot, which, we could get our Keith Andrews and he could tell us the 155 different groups that he knows about. And I'd be like, all right, they're all aliens, and
I just see Sigourney Weaver with things popping out of her stomach.
They're all extraterrestrials, even the really bad ones, even the Teklex that eat people, they're extraterrestrials. So, but he's right. He's right about that alien is pejorative. Okay, we have a question from the chat room, from Lorna in the Spreaker chat room. She asked, do you think people are becoming more clairaudient and clairsentient due to their accelerated response time when plugged into social media and texting? Or do you think the opposite is occurring, becoming less sensitive to psychic messages?
Good one, Lorna. We'll have to take that one up in Angel Circle this week.
Yeah.
The feeling like that I'm getting from that is it's neither in terms of raising someone's vibration and growing spiritually, it's neither affecting or unaffecting. But in terms of taking attention away or perhaps hearing the wrong things spiritually, yes, that could do something. But I feel like from what I'm getting downloaded is that it's not really affecting that vibration, because if you're connecting with your guides and connecting with the energy sources around you, that your vibration and you're going to grow, and whether you're on the internet or not is not going to affect it.
This is a feeling, but maybe it's not a feeling. Excuse me, I was just corrected. The internet and social media does tend to put us in a space of ego more often than not. And that does take us away from our connection as a deep spiritual being.
Oh yeah, I see it that way. Can you reread the question to me? Was it about?
There was a lot of elements in that question.
Yeah. Do you think people are becoming more clairaudient and clairsentient due to their accelerated response time when plugged into social media and texting? Or do you think the opposite is occurring and they're becoming less sensitive to psychic messages?
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, and I agree what was just said too. I agree. I stand with what I said, and I agree with what was said, is because that, yes, when you're in all those chat rooms or you're in on the internet, you're bombarded with the stuff of ego, greed, and all the dark energy stuff that is now trying to build itself and get a platform. And so, yeah you can see it that way.
There's too much of I have to be right. I mean, I'm guilty of it too.
But if you're a spiritual being and you're vibrating at a certain level and you go on there and you're aware of ego and all these things, you're able to go off of that, step back from it and say, okay, that was ego and I can move forward. It depends where your vibration is as well.
I think there's a level of awareness as well. So if you don't immediately have the knee-jerk reaction when texting or when on social media, but look at, here is what's coming through very quickly. It offers us an opportunity to be more clairaudient and more clairvoyant by stepping back and looking at it, asking what's really coming through, trying to see what that person is really, the place they're coming from and what it is they're really needing, rather than that knee-jerk reaction. So you could go either way, but if you have the awareness and the severity to be able to say, okay, I'm just going to sit with what this person is saying for a second instead of immediately reacting, then it does offer a beautiful opportunity.
Yeah.
To connect with so many more people that you can get hits from.
I would say if you're standing in your power, it doesn't matter if you're on the internet or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great question.
It is. I've had both things happen. So, being on the radio every weekend with open chat rooms. I mean, anybody can come into our chat room, and I'll come out of a radio show sometimes, and I'll feel like there are things connected to me I don't really want connected to me. But by the same token, I can find, real more, mental and emotional connections with people who I never would have met before, who are on the same wavelength. So it's both, it's doing both things. It's leaving, to me, it sometimes leaves me open to things that I'm later going to have to clear out and clean up. But at the same time, it's also helping me meet people who are on the same wavelength, or who have a piece of the puzzle or a piece of information that I needed to know or I needed to hear in order for my growth. It's both. And I tend to always look at their good side versus their bad side. So when I step into something that's dark, I don't necessarily realize it until it's too late.
Yeah,
It's
me either.
Yeah. And so, but, that's a learning experience too, just to be aware that, hey, are you seeing ego here? Is this person operating out of ego? Pay attention instead of just seeing a person's light all the time, which is what I prefer to do, but isn't really reasonable. So, Skeeter, what do you think?
I think the internet has opened more people up to the idea of opening themselves up, which has encouraged a massive boom in people who are expressing being empathic, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairpica-one. The problem is that here we have a lot of people who are being exposed, being told that they can be. There's all these things now. There's groups. There's online webinars. There's all this, and there's no working for it anymore. There's a lot of us. I had to pull back. In fact, this is one of the few times that I've been on air since I had to go on my journey and start tearing myself down to be able to handle the new downloads and uploads and everything. And there is some work to mastering this. This way you can avoid things of ego. That said, these younger ones who are plugged in constantly, who are getting this, they are very vulnerable. They're vulnerable to, like you guys said, the negativity on here. And, honestly, we all have gifts. We all have abilities. Whether the internet is opening us or closing us faster, I think it's exposing us faster, but I don't think it's opening us faster. If anything, it's actually holding us up more because we're coming in from a place of ego. Oh, yes. It says here that if I have these 8 signs and I'm a clairvoyant, super psycho, alien manipulator, and, oh, goody, I have 7 of the 8. But there's no earning it. There's no sitting with your soul and sitting with your guides and going, okay, am I ready for this? What do I need to do to prepare for this? So if anything, I think it's actually delaying true growth into these fields. They may be aware of them, they may have 7 of the 8 traits, but out of all honesty, they're just there with a concept and an idea, and they need to slow down and actually earn this position. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Not
I think
that I have an opinion on this.
No, I think it's right. It's about, if you're on the net, it's about awareness and connection, if I'm hearing everyone right. And for those that haven't moved forward yet in their full spiritual journey, and even those of us that are moving in a vibration or in a forward spiritual direction, then there's sources for us on the internet, but you have to be careful of which energies you play in there, if that's what I'm hearing everybody correctly.
Yeah, and I would go deeper.
It's a little bit of that.
It's a bit of that. I just want to say something. I want to go deeper in that we're much more externally motivated, which is somewhat addicted. Because, when I went through going through my alien abduction experiences and regressions, there was no internet. And so I really had time to not, except for the fact that I was working full time and going to school full time and then doing this research, which was maniacal craziness. But I did have time just to be with my own thoughts. I wasn't so plugged into, okay, what does Skeeter think about this? And what does Jeanette say about that? And what is blah, 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 blah. None of that sort of external listening to the other voices was happening. And I did have time to hear what my, get to know my guides, get to know the aliens I was working with, the ETs I was working with, the Zetans per se, get to have my memories come back and just be mine, not be manipulated by something I read on the web or 20 things I read on the web, because there wasn't anything out there to read. So whatever I was getting was mine, and I might have been able to check it with, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, eventually 30, eventually 100 other people, but it wasn't thousands of people all over the world just putting in their 2 cents, watering everything down. So this information that you get from spirit, or you get from your own experiences that you've forgotten and that you're remembering, is very delicate, and it probably won't hold up well to 1,000 different opinions if you're online. Anyway, who did I interrupt?
Exactly. No, I totally agree with that, because for me, when you go, I love shamanic work. I am actually on my path now to reclaim that path that I was supposed to go on, but I needed to go through some things to actually own and honor it. I was just at an event, and there were 20 shamans. I mean no disrespect in any way, shape, or form, but of those 20, I do not think any of them, even though some of them did say, oh yes, I've been on my shamanic path, I do not honestly feel like any of them have truly had the push to do the work, to actually take in the experience. It's a title. It's a privilege. Like for you, as an experiencer, there are people out there who are like, oh yes, I saw lights in the sky and I had this dream and I'm an experiencer now, versus someone who's been like, you know what, I sat down and I really dug in psychologically what it meant when I was abducted and taken, and I saw the things that I saw and was told the things I saw. And I'm not just jumping out of the boat to say this, or jumping into the world to say I've done this or experienced this, because I want to make sure I understand this before I present it to anyone else. There are some freaky things out there. When you actually take these paths, when you become an experiencer by choice or not by choice, when you enter the world of the dead, when you become a necromancer, when you become these things, you're not becoming them because it's the latest fad. There is something about it that was in your path, that was written on you universally. And people are so egotistical and not respectful of this. I mean, a lot of people I saw comment in here already about, well, I don't really trust psychics. Well, neither do I. I have 1 or 2 people that I genuinely go to, because everybody can be a psychic. It's just whether or not they actually have your higher good in their intention.
Yeah, good point.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And do they have a good frame of reference to begin with? Do they have the appropriate filters that even if they're off, their filter's so good, they're going to tell you something you need to know anyway? It's like there's a good psychic is a diamond. It's somebody who in a sense has become clarified over time and is reading from a very clarified perspective that they've gotten over time. That's terrible for me to say, but it's true.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah, I agree, because I often say, oh, if only I could have gotten, been so much wiser and so much into my connection when I was younger. Oh, I would have had this whole life of this. And then I sit back and I realize that, but I wouldn't have the wisdom and the understanding of what I need to be of service in the true form.
You wouldn't you wouldn't understand the message. You wouldn't be able to understand the message that you were getting because you wouldn't have the frame of reference of having lived enough to understand.
Right. And
message.
be able to assist in the healing of others without that wisdom and knowledge I've lived through.
Yeah, we don't even trust ourselves, Eric. Sorry, dude.
It takes a lot. I mean, even when I'm sitting with my guides and I do my out loud speak, I'll even catch myself. I'll stop when something starts going, and I'll stop and I'll go, okay, is this coming from my ego or from you guys? And it's really funny because I go, your ego, now shut up. So it really is. It's a lot of self-control because you can get in a place where you are connecting with someone, but it's from a place of ego, not spirit. So, yeah, I don't trust myself 100% of the time because I need to make sure that I am always checking and making sure that I am not accidentally allowing my ego to step forward into a reading or into a healing or whatever work I am being called to do in that moment.
Archangel Jophiel will clear that for you and hold you in clear intention space if you just ask her before you start.
I've been working with Michael quite a bit lately. In fact, my message from him tonight was working on ego and clearing things out.
Not Michael, Jophiel. Not Michael, Jophiel.
Jophiel, yeah.
I'm working with a lot of the angels right now, so I'm gonna stick with what they've been telling me to do right now. No disrespect, but they've actually got a grocery list for me right now. Yeah, I've had Azrael come through tonight. I've had Michael come through tonight. I've had Gabriel come through, and I've got a couple more on the list who are waiting for me to get off the radio so I can add their requests to my grocery list as well. So it is. It's but I'm also in need of this right now, of being more aware of ego and not having it cleared out because just because of the work I'm doing right now. I'm not allowed to go into it too much, but I'm actually doing some really serious work right now that I have to be aware of the voice of ego versus the voice of spirit. So it's actually not me needing to ask it to clear out. It's learning to recognize it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Sometimes you need your ego in order to get things done sometimes, but you should also be aware of what it is. You know, if you're using a DCAT 9, you ought to know what the DCAT 9 is.
Yeah, we're always on a check and balance system. The psychics that are working in that higher vibration rate, we're always on a check and balance system with ourselves. You know, always sorting out what we're thinking, what we're saying, where did that come from? Is that ego? Is that intuition? Am I talking with my guides? We're always rolling it through all the time, always working on it.
Yeah. Because it can get messy if we don't. All right, let's move on to the next question. Because, ego. All right, Yvonne asks, are there councils where both humans and aliens, which we will say ETs for being politically correct tonight, participate?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Are there councils where both humans and aliens participate? And this could be spiritual councils, it could be ET councils. Anybody?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay.
There are elevated beings. There are people on the planet right now whose sole purpose is to be part of that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They walk around in what appears to be very mundane employment I'm not want to say opportunities, but fields. They remain very obscure and quiet about it because the work is so incredibly intense that it manifests in a energetic way. A lot of what they're doing. So they don't need to ever. They don't ever actually talk about it when they're on a higher council.
This sounds, these people on these councils, they sound a lot like the grid workers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And, there were a lot of people walking around when Jesus was hanging out that were doing the same thing. And they disguised themselves in a lot of ways as the people that needed help and were poor and, because they don't care. And they can remain relatively obscure that way and get a whole lot more work done.
Yeah.
I know somebody here who's on a council who is exactly what she just described. And he's he's done a lot of work. He's studied with really important gurus. He's been at really important events that you couldn't imagine that one person would be at, but he's really been there. But he's some guy who lives up on the mesa in a cabin. And the things that he's done, the places he's been that were watersheds in our collective history are just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And he talks about them not with ego. He just says, well, when we went to Hopi and we talked to Chief Dan, he looked at us and he said, "You're the long-haired white guys we've been waiting for."
Yeah.
And it's like, and at Kent State, when they were firing bullets, they were over our heads and they were hitting people up the hill. So he's got a whole lifetime of being at these events, holding energy. And and some things he doesn't even know who he is, and half the time he's walking around going, "Who am I?" And it's like, man, you're on this council, and he's like, "What's that?" And it's like, oh, but.
And you think they're Cheech and Chong, and they
you think they're Cheech or Chong, or all of their disciples, but no, they're not. They're just that guy, that person on that council.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
It's like me. I live here, but I am dimensionally living on the council. I'm working in the council in Sirius. Mm-hmm. So I have that duality that I was not aware of until recently. Right?
Well, what's interesting is this is one of the reasons why I wanted Paul on, because he also works on the Sirius B Council, and he knows about it, and he'll blab about anything, but not because it isn't true, but because he knows about it. And it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy to hold on to that, to be on a council, an ET council, especially a council across time.
Yeah, and I believe we were talking earlier before we got everyone on. I believe this is one of the reasons why my energy fields are increasing, is for more awareness of what I'm doing there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a question. I want a question for everyone. I was wondering what everyone thinks about the poles and the meridian shifting.
Oh, I was going to ask about this. Yeah, okay. I'll start. Well, what I've been told is that there's going to be a pole shift, and also that in combination with climate changes and also with what we end up doing to where human beings live right now, we're going to have a lot more people, or the people who are left, living in Antarctica in a few 100,000 years, because Antarctica is going to uncover and it's going to move north, and as it does, it's going to become green again like it was before, and it's also not going to be polluted. So this, I've been told by my friend Dave in Spirit, he's a very strong telekinetic being, and so he actually does a lot of work whenever there's a big event with the earth energies. He holds energy in the earth. So
Yeah, I heard something interesting the other day in a discussion that the world PowerPoints are falling, or the energy is getting corrupted, and there's shifts occurring, like in places like Mount Shasta and Sedona, etc. But this is creating pure energy in new power centers, like in Chiloe. I can never say it. Chiloe Island in Chile. The other
Chile.
fairy island, and like the Valley of Longevity in Ecuador. And so there's new power points occurring.
Yep,
And I
that's
was
what.
wondering if anybody...
Nope, Dave has talked about that. A lot of times he's down there in Chile, in Patagonia, and in South America. And actually, Paul is down in South America for part of the reason why he's down there is just that there's energy down there that needs to be stabilized, because as that energy moves, what you're going to see is more earthquakes, and it is necessary. It's necessary to clean out the earth grids to have some of those earthquakes, but they're also trying to make it so that people who are innocent don't get hurt. So there's a big balancing act going on with that a lot of different spirits are involved with.
Yeah. My guides were actually today, when I was preparing, my guides today were telling me that there's like this Mr. Fog of energy flowing, and it holds the dark, and it's creating all these things like greed and ego and selfishness and I perspective, et cetera, and it creates extremes in thoughts and purpose. And the grids are shifting and re-energizing to balance the light and dark. And this is the time of transformation, and in its many forms. And for approximately 10 years, we will continue with this upheaval, political turbulence, climate changes, droughts, famines, superviruses, and natural disasters. And approximately at the 10-year cycle comes a time of rebirth and rebuilding, and establishing a time of new world order, evolution of sustainable water, food and energy products production, and a time of just versus unjust, because the consciousness shifts.
Skeeter, what do you think?
I'm not allowed to say.
Why?
Yeah,
Why not?
She used to talk about this a lot.
Why?
Yeah. My guides have made it very clear I am not allowed to comment on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I do know a lot more than I'm allowed to say.
She knows too much. She would give herself away. Jeanette, what do you think?
I am going to go along with Greg Braden on this one, because every time I check in with it, it's correct. That what's happening on the planet right now is what happens every 5,000 years, whether there's people on it or not. Although in my inherent feeling from angelic realms is that it is so all good, and we are so, the eclipse moved the earth into a place of ascension, and that we are all moving collectively into a place of unconditional love. And so I think the part about the Antarctica thawing out and becoming green again, to me looks like what I have seen of the other side, what we would refer to as heaven, or the non-physical for humans. And so, yes, I believe we are all collectively moving up into this place that we cannot even imagine. And those of us that are on the planet right now that are holding this space, especially for the people in this country that are struggling with the politics, and can stand back and just hold it in light, because what's happening has to happen to bring everybody together, good or whether, no matter what it feels like right now, is just all part of this massive beauty that's coming about. And so I feel like personally I can just stand back and smile and say I'm really honored to be part of the beginning of this.
I think that's that's a beautiful way to put it. We are definitely in a transformational stage right now, but that beautiful picture that you were just painting, that is coming. It's just going to take some time.
Right. Yep.
Just a little.
Well,
right.
it doesn't have to take as long as we believe it does.
Yeah, it is a good thing. It's almost like a purging, a cleansing, and a rebirthing.
Yeah. Yeah, things that have happened.
Well, it's the ultimate reset button.
Yep.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, we have a question from the guy, also known as Craig, in Spreaker chat room. If we live in a duality reality, wouldn't both energies come from the prime creator? So, if so, how can prime creation energy be pure love? That's complicated and esoteric.
That is it's complicated in the way it's put too.
Yeah.
You might have to read it again.
Yeah, you're going to have to read it again.
If we live in a reality of duality, I'm going to put it that way. If we live in a reality of duality, wouldn't both energies, I'm assuming he means dark and light, come from the prime creator, the creator being? If so, how can the energy of creation or the prime creator be energy of pure love?
Okay.
And that's making
interesting question.
Making an assumption that the energy of creation is pure love, because we have all this other energy going on too. So is it?
But to have
my guys are going. You've got to be careful with the word love, because that's really a human term and not a celestial term.
Yes.
Because what one person considers an act of love, another person might consider an act of violence.
Yep.
So we have to be very, very careful with the word love. On that note, they are telling me that I am allowed to tell you that because it is a duality, that's where that pure energy comes from, is because of the duality. You have to have your high notes and your low notes. You have to have light and dark. Duality in its purest form is what our life should be, a constant duality, so that we are learning to appreciate things by knowing what we don't appreciate. We really don't know what love is until we know what unlove is. We don't know what pain is unless we are comfortable.
Right.
We have to have a duality in our lives. Everything in a properly functioning way is a duality. It's an up, a down and up, a left, a right, a left. It all comes back to center, and it's that center that allows for this duality to function happily and contentedly. Right now, we are in a period of non-duality. Things are not coming back to center as they should and then going to the opposite side. It is out of balance, out of whack, and there is no duality, which is why we're having this big discussion on some other groups that I'm with about has whatever gone astray. No, it hasn't gone astray. It's just trying to figure out how to get us back into a duality when we're dealing with an extremely unhealthy community of egomaniacs.
Yes, and I totally agree with that. The words, when you were speaking, the word center was they were down, just center, right? And that's, you can't have light without dark, love without hate. It just doesn't happen. You're correct. And we aren't in that duality right now. We aren't in center. I agree. But I would say that a lot of star seeds and light workers are being awoken. And like before, I never used to meet any galactics of any kind, and now galactic workers are everywhere. And so all of these star persons and light workers are being ignited to shift that duality as well, right? To make it more centered. And so on one side, you see the imbalance, and on the other side, you see the shifting happening to make it come into balance. It's quite interesting.
Exactly. No, you got it spot on. It really is. It's a call to arms. It's a call to, hey, things are out of whack. The more people we can get to actually wake up and genuinely move in this, then the better it is. I mean, this goes back to our first question about the waking up. Does the internet wake us all up? Well, it's waking up a lot of people. It's just whether or not they're going to be working for the side that's ego or the side that's truly enlightened, that's taken ego out, that's identifying their own ego so that they can move beyond it and help bring things back into the balance, bringing it back to center.
We have when I'm teaching, I remind people, the Buddhists have a saying, anybody who wants to do energy work or energy healing or any of the tantric work, which ends up with realizations, psychic realizations, intuitive realizations, universal realizations, they always ask you to take a vow of bodhicitta, which is, I solemnly vow to become enlightened so that I can save all sentient beings from suffering as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. So the idea is never to become very psychic or very galactic or very informed because you want to have power, because they have had saints that did that. Milarepa did that. He wanted to have power, and he got power, and what he did was kill a bunch of people with it. And the idea is that you want to be able to have these abilities and to be able to converse with the angels and the deities and even the demons, so that you can learn to have skillful means of how do you become enlightened so that you can save all sentient beings from suffering, and how do you do it as quickly as possible. And what we don't get in the Western world is a lot of teachers telling us that. Well, why do you want to do this? Do you want to do this so you can, go spy on your neighbor over there? Or do you want to do this because you want to save all sentient beings from suffering? And so with our internet and our Western worldview, which is all about me, I'm number one, I have this, I have that, I have the gold Rolodex or whatever the heck Rolex, whatever it is, we don't teach people that, and we get what we get, which is, hey, this is another way for me to be special and have power, and it really should be to become enlightened as quickly as possible so you can save yourself and all other sentient beings from suffering, because what suffering is not fun. Am I right?
No.
No. I'm not right. Oh well. Okay.
No, it does have its perks, but I'm really enjoying learning to be respectful and honorable and remembering to say thank you and my gratitude and whatnot. It's a little bit easier. But no, you're right. There's an extreme amount of teaching about this has to be a place where you are coming from absolute neutrality. It's neutral key.
Yeah.
And the goal is to be in a position to either be reactive or proactive based on what is needed in the moment to help bring people up to where they are automatically. A lot of the work I've been doing lately, people come to me and go, okay, I need to be on my path. And I go, great, I am more than happy to give you the roadmap, the directions, the Google printout, the GPS, but there's this horrid thing that's going to derail you, and I'm going to warn you right now, and it's called human free will. As long as you are on a place that you are coming strictly for yourself, strictly from ego, not worrying about anyone else or anything else other than the fact that you are going to get to that finish line and win the prize, whether you earned it or not. With everything I am giving you, you will not get there.
Yes, interesting. Spirit talks a lot about flow, right? That you must have the flow.
Well, it's flow and it's willingness to flow.
Yes, I agree.
And it's willingness to be of service. I mean, this is, people say, oh, you do this, you must be really rich. Or, hey, you're on the radio, you must be a celebrity. Right, laughing hysterically because I don't get Medicaid, but I can't get health insurance because I don't make enough money, So it's like, it's like there are all these ideas about people who are quite good at this, but generally it comes down to they're good at this because they have dedicated their life to bodhicitta or being of service. In putting aside the ego to be of service.
I would say I don't have the the income yet. We'll keep that intention running. But but I do have abundance in my life. If I look around, I have lots of abundance.
Yeah.
And that's important to me, right? To have that abundance, and with abundance and with center and balance and moving forward in those ways, the financial stuff comes, right? And
it does.
Yep. And so if you're leading with finance, you're not going to get finance.
No, but you've got it down. It's abundance. And a lot of people don't recognize that abundance means having your necessities, your needs, your true needs covered and a little bit extra. And true needs are not material. Yeah, having a place over your head is a little material, but that's not material. Those are things that take care of the human form while you do your spirit work. And as long as you're tied to spirit and doing the work that you're supposed to, yeah, there's sometimes that the bills are there and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be cutting it close. And you do. You cut it close. Your nose is a little bit raw from it, but you make it in, and spirit always makes sure that you have what you need. But if you come from a place, there was this psychic who was on TV so much in the 80s, and they had gold shoes and these elaborate embroidered capes, and every time I saw them on TV, I cringed. Because a lot of psychics will come from a place of materialism. And they do make a good living, and I will admit now and again I'm a little jealous because here they are driving around in a fancy car, and I'm like, oh my God, mine's 12 years old. Please make it one more year. But it always seems to work out. No matter what happens, as long as I'm tied in to my guides, I know that I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be safe. As long as I'm remembering to count my blessings and to remember that I have abundance, that I have genuinely everything that I need plus a little extra, I am always going to be grateful and happy and hoping that I can share that with others. And that's what keeps it going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That the way that you put forth with your guides, and I believe so much in that energy force of my guides and spirit that I work with, that that flow of abundance, it arrives, right? And you're right. Just when you think like, oh no, and you start to step into your humanness and into your mind of fear, this isn't going to work out. Then when you release it and let it go to your guides and to your energies, the abundance comes. It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
We have some skepticism in the chat room, not about what we're saying, but about...
Oh, good.
About us?
About psychics in general. And he didn't write it as a question, but it's a question that it deserves asking. If you're in a room full of people who purport to have special abilities, how do you find out whether or not they really do? How do you test that? If you're in a room full of people, I've kind of gone past it, but hold on one second. Eric Markham, if you want to rewrite it, that'd be great. Let's see.
You stand back and watch who's being quiet and observing and isn't spouting off about how good they are.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
you know, even then you got to be a little careful. Me, I honestly stopped testing people or even worrying about whether they're real or not. And that comes from a lesson that I've gotten with my own ego, because I was always testing myself against others to prove that I knew what I knew. And I finally got to the point where if I'm really, truly tied in and I'm at a different point in my lesson, like I mentioned earlier, I'm working with my ego right now. That is part of my lesson right now. I started this lesson being very boisterous, and now I'm getting very quiet. Who am I to look at another person who's being rather boisterous or rather quiet going, oh, they must not know? It's not my place to say whether they do or don't. If I am genuinely concerned about what they are doing because it could be affecting someone else, I will turn to my guides and go, okay, do I need to step in, or is that my place? And my guides will direct me appropriately.
And with that
But above and beyond that, I don't care.
Yeah, with that direction, we're going to go into our break and come back right after these messages and talk more about this. Hang on.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at spacedoutradio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
There's stories, then there's the truth. Do any of us really trust the news anymore? This is Jamie Sexton, owner of Rebel Planet News. The third Thursday of every month, I appear on spacedoutradio.com to bring you the truth you deserve, without mainstream media lies or alternative media fear-mongering. We'll get to the heart of the story and deliver the truth you're seeking. So come join us here for the Rebel Planet at spacedoutradio.com.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4 Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report. It's free, and we're here to help.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We are lighting the void on Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, this is Joe Roop, and I'm hanging out in SOR headquarters every Saturday night, bringing you the latest news when it comes to the weird and strange. Bigfoot, occult, UFOs, ghosts, and everything in between, I got you covered. You can tune in to spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Come travel into the void with us on Spaced Out Saturdays.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guests and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Elizabeth Anglin and SOR.
Hey, we are back with Spaced Out Radio's Cosmic Passport with the Psychic Roundtable. We were talking about balance between the dark and the light. We were talking about ego, and we're talking about things that, no rational, right-minded people have a right to talk about. But we're doing it anyway. We want to welcome you back. It is a dusty, dry, cold evening here in Madrid, New Mexico. And this is where we report from every Sunday night. For all of you listening from around North America, thank you for being here. WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia. Thank you for being here. Everybody on spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker, on the United Public Radio Network, Renegade Talk Radio, and the Fringe.fm. Thank you for being here. Thanks also to Ron Bumblefoot, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy, for creating music for us that makes our time here at Spaced Out Radio rock. Thank you, Ron. Hey, if you're on Twitter, check us out at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Radio. On Facebook, you can follow me at Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download our shows from iTunes. We're also on radioguide.fm, TalkStream Live, and on Stitcher. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. And if you go to patreon.com, we have some cool offers for you, our listeners, there as well. Make sure you check those out. If you want to take part in the show, sign into one of our chat rooms on Spreaker or the chat room on Facebook on the SOR Space Travelers Club. We are taking your questions tonight for the Psychic Roundtable. We have amazing galactic psychics Skeeter Welhouse, Jeanette Dames, and Kelly DelBianco on tonight. Before that, I am just going to say, hey, we've been trying to balance things out here, and we try to give you balance every single night on Spaced Out Radio. 5 nights a week, we have Dave Scott coming in. On Saturday, we have Joe Roop with Lighting the Void, and on Sunday, we have myself. Next week, I'll be back with Psychic Sunday, and we'll have Paul Simons and Kelly DelBianco on for Psychic Sunday next week, and we'll be talking about the Sirius B Council, which we talked a little bit about councils tonight, but we're going to talk more about the Sirius B Council next Sunday night in the first hour, and then the last 2 hours, we will take your calls for personal psychic readings. Well, I got to tell you, there's a lot of giggles going on here in the background, and I'm going to welcome back Kelly DelBianco, Skeeter Welhouse, Jeanette Dames. Thank you for being here. How are you guys doing?
Good. Having a great time.
Good. Have we balanced our chi? Are we in our higher selves?
We might have to do a few ohms still, but...
I hear laughter is good for the soul. Yeah. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any of our questions that they want to ask? Did anybody have a question between you guys that we didn't ask yet?
Well, I don't know if I have a question, but I wanted to, as I was preparing, I got a download from my guides, and it looks like we all work in the Akasha in past lives. And so they were informing me that there's a shift starting in the Akasha.
Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, and they were saying that the time has started that those that are being born will live longer because as we start to have more technology, we're able to sustain life longer. And where light beings do not need to, we won't need to cycle as much, right, repeatedly into a human life to learn and intersect as frequently, because our lifespans will be longer and we will be learning more and purposing more in these longer lifespans. And so the recycling becomes less and less as our technology advances. And as we on Earth are able to sustain our own physical bodies longer, right? This just allows us to have more span in a life here to go through our purposes and our journeys. And so they also told me that and they didn't tell me exactly when, that there's a time beyond that leads to the integrations of light beings and galactics populating on Earth, and it happens after a time where there'll be a decrease in births because those that die will not recycle, and so the births aren't going to be happening that much. It was very interesting to me, and I was wondering if anybody has got any information about this or.
I'll just start with, what I find interesting when I do spirit mediumship is that the Buddhists believe that, if you're not going to, you have to become enlightened, not to recycle. And so there's all this work that you do in terms of meditation and chanting and purifying and clearing and having realizations and really solid work and in order to become enlightened so that you become above and beyond recycling or being born again and in a different physical body. I have had a lot of people who are on the other side telling me that they will not be coming back for a very long period of time. And so it's interesting that you're saying that. And I've also had some people who've said, well, I've opted to become a guide, or I've opted to work on this project from the spirit realm, but I'm not going to be working on I'm not going to get reincarnated anytime soon. And that's the only thing that this reminds me of, other than the fact that I just saw that there was going to be a cancer vaccine. There's a new cancer vaccine, not, like the one for girls, which makes them sick, but something that can cure cancer across the board. So those two things come to mind for me about that, especially hearing from more people, they've opted to go to guide school and become a guide, so they won't be coming back. I don't know. That sounds reasonable. Yeah, and this is what they were saying, like in not now, but in beyond, right? The shifting has already started in the Akasha a bit, but that because of these new technologies and advances we live longer, and so we're able to purpose more in that lifespan, and so there's not the need to be coming back. Yeah, Jeanette, what do you think? Oh, have we lost Jeanette?
Sorry, I had you on mute. I had muted myself because I was moving around the house doing some things with my dog.
She's dancing. She's dancing with her dog.
She's after the gnome. Actually, we were outside so he could pee.
Okay.
There is something I have experienced sort of along this line, and that is that there's a lot of women, because I primarily work with women, in the 50, 60, 70 age range right now, who have experienced a plethora of quote-unquote careers and explored a lot of different alternative jobs, lives, and schooling as well. And we've received a lot of criticism for this. I have personally from my family, because they say, well, you can't stick with anything. And what their angels always say when they come to me is, you're completing everything that you've ever left hanging from any lifetime so that you don't have to come back, because you need to be done, because there's too much for you to do on the other side. So I feel like the world that I operate in, from my perspective, is that everything is perfect. And we all incarnate with a specific role, and we know what that is, and we agree to it to be a part of whatever is happening at this particular time. And then we get here and we forget that. And so then it looks like it may be dark or light or wrong or right or bad or good. And it really isn't. It's what we planned to be part of the overall perspective that's happening for the growth of the higher good of everyone that's here. And that's what's happening to so many of us right now, that we're all in this place of perfection that we don't really even understand is perfection. And so we're just moving through what we agreed to do while we were here, and it's really pretty cool.
Yeah.
I kind of, I've always had a bit of a Pollyanna attitude about everything. So I have never seen darkness. I've never seen bad spirits, bad energy, any of that. And I've been working with this a very long time, since like the age of 3. So
yeah, see, I don't see bad or good either. So totally with you there.
Yeah, I don't see like with my eyes the dark, but with my clairvoyance I do, and I am able to sense their energy. I actually get chills that run up my legs from my ankles to my knees when lower lying vibrations or energetic beings are around me.
Yeah.
For me, I don't see them as anything. For me, it's like symphonic notes. It's notes, and you've got your deep bass oboes, your bassoons, and then you've got your little piccolos, and for me, it's music. So as I move through, I hear this symphonic movement of who and what's around me, and I've learned not to assign them any human traits because it may not be appropriate for what they are and what they represent.
Yeah, you're right. I don't either. if something pops into my head, I close that gate. I just go straight to my guide, my keeper of my gates, and I shut it right off. But that doesn't mean that I don't sense the energy around me.
And I'll work with it. I'm fun that way. I've got a couple of friends. They call me Club Skeeter. I've got bouncers at the door, but a lot of people are welcome. A lot of energies are welcome because I never know who or where that particular thread is going to lead me and what I need to learn from that thread to apply to someone else who may need it. A lot of the times I find that what I learn the hard way helps me guide someone around learning that same lesson the extreme hard way, or I'm there to help them as I'm learning more so as a hand up out of that place, that I can actually walk in and go, oh, I've been here. Here, let me show you where the door is. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Labyrinth, but I almost feel like I'm Hoggle, where I wander around the labyrinth now going, oh, yeah, the door's over here, or the hidden passage is there, and, oh, yeah, you can get out of the oubliesque by this little door hidden underneath the mat, and you just have to put it against the wall, and, you know, all those weird things. So for me, working with these variations, working with these different things, I don't close myself to them anymore. I actually kind of like go, okay, well, wipe your feet, be respectful, here's the house rules, let's go. And it works really well for me that way. And even as we're moving and transferring in and out of these, as we're getting ready for this transfer, I'm noticing it's the people who have taught me these same points of views that are actually living longer and guiding us into this massive shift. And it's very fascinating to watch those who are living a long time and helping getting ready, because a lot of them are transcending masters. They are moving onto that higher plane, and there are a lot of spirits who I have worked with who have crossed over and are staying there because they know they are needed there to guide and teach and provide lessons depending on what we need to learn. And that's what we have. That's why I especially have to be open to the variations. And that's why other people need to be aware that sometimes just because it's a variation that we don't quite know, we don't quite understand, we still have to be open to it because it's a lesson. It's an awakening to a different part, another section of the cosmic web that we have to be aware of and learn from and grow from. Otherwise, we're going to miss that ship, and we're going to be doing this dance all over again until you get it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And Skeeter clears the room.
Okay, Skeeter, if you say so. No. Well, I'm remembering when people used to call me the army. Oh, look, you're here, and you brought the army. It's like, well, I know everybody who's with me is supposed to be with me because there are really big bouncers at the door. But yeah, I'm here, and here's the army.
Yeah, I think as psychics we all carry a very massive army. That's willing and able to do battle, but also willing and able to let us. I never say learn lessons; I say gain lessons. So as we gain lessons, and they're always out in front of me, beside me, around me. But they don't. When I'm feeling that energy, they're not protecting me. They're still protecting me from it, but they're letting me sense what is around and what is going on, so that I'm capable and aware of where I need to put my energetic self, or how I need to call other guides in, perhaps, right? Or to learn.
That was very well said.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Well said. All right, we've got a question from the chat room from Kat in the chat room, Catherine. She wants to know, and I'm going to have to paraphrase this. What is the craved delicacy that humans offer that is a draw for all spirits and non-Terrans alike?
Craved delicacy?
Yeah, is it laughter? Is it pain? Is it chicken thighs. What is it?
Laughter.
I think
or
it's
cherry pie. One or the other.
Cherry pie.
Well, I kind of like pizza, so.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. When we had ETs, and we had these pilots who were, they had escaped from their mothership who had got infected with some really nasty entities, and they came down to the ranch. They really liked it when we ate pizza, because it made us happy, and they got this hit off of pizza. So when we figured out that they were there, and that's why the Bigfoot were going nuts, and we started, telepathically talking to them, we said, "Is there anything we can do for you?" And they said, "Could you eat pizza?"
Yeah, because they're off of our vibe, our happiness, that inner love, that inner self stuff, right? That's what it is, that inner love, and that brings you to the happy space, right? And so we connect with that because it spreads our light, and our light connects to their light energy to their energy.
Yeah.
Compassion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily pizza in and of itself. It's what pizza does to you that they can feed off of.
Yes. Yep.
Compassion.
Compassion.
That is our deepest motive. That serves everyone on the planet.
Yes.
Being centered and focused simply in compassion.
I have a funny thing saying that I wouldn't say it's a funny saying. That my guides gave it to me to help people when they're in need of speaking to others, and they call it compassionate confrontation. It's a way of talking in compassion, right? And you're right. Compassion is one of the big things that people really should bring into their lives. And when you have compassion, kindness follows. So many things follow with that.
It does.
The Dalai Lama always says that if children were taught from the age of 3 to meditate for 30 seconds a day on compassion, that by the time they are 16, there would be no more war.
Oh, yes. Can we please bring meditation into our schools instead of a study hall after for being punished?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all coming.
I know some schools are
place
starting
of
to
enlightenment is coming.
Yes. I saw that on Facebook, and I was like, yes, please. When can it just arrive everywhere?
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go back to a more mundane, earthly question. We're going to get out of the teaching. Did D.B. Cooper survive his jump from the jet plane?
I love his story. I absolutely love following it. I've loved every book, every documentary I've read on him. And yes, he did survive. He did survive. He did get to keep the money. And, it's an amazing story, and it's really fun sitting with his spirit when you're watching one of his documentaries, because he sits and goes, "That's not right. That's not right." But yes, he did survive.
Why did he do it? Did he just do it for the money?
Because he could.
Because he could.
Because he could. It was basically an adrenaline thing. It was basically the question was put forward: could you do this? And yeah, he could. So it's funny. I've absolutely enjoyed my chats with him and watching everything about him. But for him, it was like an adrenaline junkie. Can I do it? And I laugh because when I saw Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze the first time, all I could think about was his story. And that's really him, is the Patrick Swayze character. It's not so much about the money or anything. It's that rush. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Anybody else get the same
I
thing?
just wanted to ask her, since she'd been in contact with him, because my guides were kind of giving me the sense that I too, I don't even know the story of this person, to be honest, but I too heard that he had lived. but I also heard that, he didn't have the best time of it after. There were issues for him.
Karma.
Yeah.
There's
no,
karma.
really, they were saying that, he survived and he had the money, but
Yeah.
it wasn't what he thought it would be.
No, it was not what he thought it would be, but it was definitely worth it. In his words, it was worth it.
Yeah.
So for whatever that means to him, but you know what? I've done some things that, technically I shouldn't have, but they were worth it. And yeah, I paid the karmic price afterwards, but I'd still do it again.
Okay, along that same line,
there's
I
some
have a
karma in that
question.
statement.
Yes.
It's honestly coming not from our perspective. And there are some rules cosmically that we do have to apply to, but there's other things, like I said earlier, there's this horrid thing called human free will. And, out of all honesty, how are we as a spirit going to grow unless we test the barriers and try things out? This is why we do come back a couple times, because sometimes we go, you know what, I've been so well behaved, and I've followed all the rules. Why the hell not? I want to experience this. I want to try this out. I want to see what happens when I break that barrier. And for him, that's what this was. It was about testing that barrier. What really happens? And he found out. Yeah, there was a karmic price for it, and no, things didn't go exactly as planned. I mean, yeah, he shattered his leg, so it did cripple him a bit. But you know what? He had a lot of fun. I mean, how many people, you're sitting there in a bar, and you're gray, you don't look like your picture anymore, and you're sitting going, you're drunk, and you're having fun, and you look at some guy, and you go, there was this time I jumped out of an airplane just so I can get away with a whole bunch of money. And people are going to look at you and go, what? It's a great story.
Yeah.
But it's also a great lesson on, whatever he was trusting, whatever was driving him, he trusted it 100%. Good, bad, anywhere in between, he absolutely had faith in what he was doing.
He had a moment of fearlessness. That's what it was. It was he had a moment of fearlessness, and there is a problem with our society that many people do not get their moments of fearlessness. They don't get to go on the quest. They don't get to go tilt at the windmill. They don't get to go do the phenomenally wrong, stupid thing that requires being fearless. And you can feel very, very, very alive in that moment of fearlessness where you're just going for it. And yeah, I see it. All right.
So I have a question.
Okay, go, Jeanette.
Go for it.
I'm not even remembering the country now. The plane that disappeared a couple years ago.
From Singapore Airlines?
Wherever that was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Malaysia. It was a Malaysian.
That was it. Malaysian Air. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a mass abduction? Was it a portal? I don't know. I don't believe that it was a crash, and that they're at the bottom of the ocean. I think it would. I don't know that it was an abduction, but I believe that there was some intervention from elsewhere, and they collectively agreed to it.
Wow.
Silence.
Well, I'm pegging in with my guides right now, trying to see, because I never really thought about it. Whether
I kind of give the others a voice.
The instant it happened, that was what it just came out of me. I go, that was a collective agreement to disappear and go somewhere else as one.
Well,
They're never going to be found. And everybody was like, you're out of your mind. It was a crap, and on and on. And I just shut my mouth and never talked about it again.
Well, my guides are giving me a sense that something happened between the pilots and the cockpit, that it started there. and that this was a decision that ultimately was their decision. I just feel like it was, the power was in their hands. That's what I'm getting from that. I get the sense that, yes, it's almost like there's, because I'm being shown the plane and there's like this energy vibe going over, like it's energy flowing over the plane. So yes, there's something else involved.
I don't.
Oh yeah, there was more to it than what we saw. This was not a natural or human disaster. This was something else.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The way they're showing it to me, it's like this energy, and it's hard to explain when you haven't seen this type of energy before, and it's over the plane, and the pilots are. It's almost like the pilots are being talked to or discussed with, and having to make decisions.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I was trying to wrap my brain around what you were saying, but now the light bulb just went on.
Yeah. Did
you ever see the Langoliers?
Yes.
The Langoliers.
Yeah, they ended up in a parallel reality that was it was a time bubble, and they ended up landing. They ended up going back in time or something, and then they had this time bubble that they ended up in, and then it was all dissolving.
But it was the people that were gone, the people that disappeared off of the plane at one time.
Right.
While it was still in transit. That's what fascinated me. I love Stephen King. And that everybody who was left had some sort of human birth defect, which is the same thing that he put also in his book, The Stand.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, I think that a lot of the stuff that he writes is channeled. I don't believe that's just some warped imagination. And so I have to just keep kind of going back to that. It's a collective conscious agreement when those things happen. Mm-hmm. And the people that are left behind that are still here, the relatives, the human relatives in this lifetime, are devastated, and that's horrible, but it's all okay. It's not, it feels like a tragedy from a human perspective, but it really isn't.
No,
Right.
because their spirit has also agreed to that circumstances when they come through, right?
Correct.
So everybody has a purpose, and everyone on their journey, right, before they come through.
Yes.
That's
something like that. Something like that. From where I get to work, what we call that is a secondary trip line. Out on the web. And what it is that there's enough of the collective who agree to this, they're on that flight to where the energy, it's kind of like a surprise ending. It's like something is going to happen, you agree to something that wasn't traditional, but this is something that's a little bit out of the way. And the way I usually get to see it on the web is I'll be watching threads play, and I'll be watching threads play out, and then all of a sudden I see a weaver run across, and there's a brand new line, and it takes a whole number of people. And it's like, as they're grabbing those threads and gathering them up and leading to another completely different section of the web, it's almost kind of like, in that moment they're being reminded, hey, we made an agreement that you'd go out in a surprise, and the surprise is ready, and everybody here, are you ready to see what goes next? And it's actually an unusual energy, because it's not, I wouldn't call it an upgrade, it's something very
energetic.
different.
It's highly energetic.
It's very energetic, because you're actually breaking through multiple realms at that time.
Yes, that's why.
So you're not even dealing on the human level anymore. You've gone beyond, and that's why a lot of those individuals have a hard time even being reached by psychics or other individuals who are intuitively inclined, because they're not even on our realm anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna move away from that because I looked at that so many times when it happened, and I got something like what Jeanette got. I got something like the idea. I kept getting different scenarios, so I think I kept getting front loaded on that one. But other things I have noticed sort of from backing up, like from the World Trade Center, backing up from it and seeing how much light was going on during the World Trade Center. Like how many, it was a terrible, terrible thing, but there was so much light involved. There was so much angelic presence involved. And this reminds me of that, there's so much energy and light going on there. Okay. Another question for you. A little bit out there. There was purportedly a meteorite or meteor impact in Michigan this past couple of weeks ago in January. And do you think it was a meteor or do you think it was something else? And
you can hear the connections clicking, right?
Yeah, hear their brains clicking. I won't let it be
I think we're calling it a meteor because we don't know what else to call it.
Yes.
And it's being explained away right now because they don't understand. No one understands what it was.
Okay.
Yes, so I agree. It's like space junk sort of, but different. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there was any alien activity around that space junk? Any of you?
I think so. I think it holds some energy there because I can sense the energy on it. Like it's almost radiating like with that energy.
Okay. Do you think they lost?
I feel it was a botched trip.
Yeah, something happened and something fell off or something went wrong. Yes.
Okay. Do you think they came and collected their stuff that fell?
Collected afterwards?
Yeah.
No,
I don't either. I feel that it wasn't that important to them to make themselves known here just to collect that.
It was just a botched experiment.
Oh, so there we have it. We can go to Michigan and maybe find some stuff.
Yeah. That would be really helpful too.
Eric, Markham, just so you know, we got to get a trip back to Michigan and we'll go find some stuff. Maybe we'll get
Elizabeth,
better stuff.
Can't you remote view that?
I did, and that's what I got. It was alien stuff.
Okay.
It was alien tech. It made me want to fall asleep. So what I found out was when Eric, Markham, and I were coming back from Forest Moon Paranormal, the conference in September, we drove by Mount Shasta, and there was all sorts of alien tech, and it made him really upset, and it made me want to go to sleep. So, and it makes sense, having been an abductee and having put out so many times to be taken away, that I thought that I was over that, but this was probably maybe not alien or ETs that I was used to working with. And when I remote viewed the Michigan thing, I'm looking at all this stuff come down, and then I'm like, oh, this is making me very, very sleepy. Okay, it's ET stuff. So that's why I wanted to ask you to see if you got the same thing. So
cool.
John Titer was here. Wants to know, do you know what the experiment was for or what the trip was for?
Immediately. They wanted to see if they could survive in the denseness of our atmosphere.
Oh, that didn't go well.
Yeah, and I think they wanted to procure something, but I'm not getting what. They wanted to procure something so that they could bring it back and figure it all out. Yeah.
Skeeter, what do you get? Or are you not allowed to say?
The only thing I'm allowed to talk about is the fact that it's really similar to the Disney movie Chicken Little, where they dropped the plate off their ship, and yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to say a whole lot more other than the fact that it was... Thankfully, it wasn't the actual item that they dropped. So I guess there was a test toy, and then there was the real toy. Kind of like how we buy little toy helicopters before we buy the expensive model.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So what they lost was the practice rig.
Okay, so that makes sense for me with the procuring because they wanted to procure knowledge. Okay, that makes sense to me.
They wanted to get plant life. Mostly trees.
Yep.
They're trying to figure out what role the trees plays in creating an atmosphere that we can live in.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay, now are they friendly to us or not friendly to us?
I don't get any harm intended at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Just
wouldn't.
pure
I feel
curiosity.
they're neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Just neutral. Okay.
They're friendly to the trees. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but
Friendly
I
to
wouldn't
the
want to.
trees.
I wouldn't want to provoke them. Let's just say that they're neutral.
Well, I wouldn't want to provoke anybody
at the moment, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So on a similar vein, do you know about the big event at the turn of from 1800s to 1900s, the Tunguska event in Siberia? Do you think that was a crashed meteor or a crashed piece of alien something or other, or something else? What do you get?
I don't know, but I just had a rush of energy with that right up my legs. Interesting.
The same groups that were working with the Egyptians on the pyramids.
So it was one.
I'm not allowed to say.
Oh, Skeeter! Skeeter, well.
I definitely know that is ET because of the rush I just got.
Okay.
And it doesn't surprise me that it's related to the Egyptians whatsoever, especially at that turn of century. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I've always thought. I just wanted to know what you guys thought. One last thing. There are pyramids in Bosnia. Are they actual pyramids or are they just earth landforms?
They're pyramids.
Okay. Jeanette?
Well, what's the difference? I mean, pyramids are just created earth landforms, right?
Well, it's whether geologists are saying it's a naturally occurring, non-man-made landform. I think it's a pyramid, as in man-made.
Well, okay. But neither one is not made by man as we know man. It's I feel like they are.
Was one is basically inspired and created, and the other one is Mother Nature going, I feel like I want something here.
Yeah,
one is the earth decoration.
One is the things happened and the ice receded and left deposits over here. This happened here, and it just Mother Nature just did it. And the other is there was some intelligent beings.
Well, yeah. I heard that it was man-made.
I'm going with Mother Nature.
Yeah, Mother Nature and man-made.
Huh. Okay. Maybe both together. That is very interesting. Does anybody else have a question? If you've got a question in the Spreaker chat room, please type it in all caps. I can't see it if you don't. Type it in all caps. Skeeter, do you have a question?
No, I don't. This has been way more fun listening, and I forgot what questions they have had. So.
All right, Skeeter.
I've got a good one. I've got a good one from being in New Mexico.
Okay.
And you would love this too. The hum. The Taos hum.
Oh, and somebody else had a question. I forgot about that. The hum.
The what?
I don't know what the Taos hum is, and I've never heard it. I'm wondering if it's just certain people are getting attuned in a certain way by just the land and the earth, and because there's this, New Mexico is full of crystals, like the soil and the earth there picks up radiant sun energy and bounces it back to people. And what that does is it sets up, like, people who come here get energized in a certain way, and then they feel like they need to come back. And I'm just wondering if this is part and parcel of it for some people, that as they're getting energized, they hear this hum. But I really don't know. Anybody else? Taos hum? It's a humming noise that people hear in Taos, in the Taos Valley.
There's been a lot of theory that it's related to a lot of the government work up there. There's theories that it has to do with private mining or secret mining. Some people say because New Mexico is a buzz for aliens in ET. It could be that. What do you think? You were about to say something.
I really don't get that it's anything negative. I think the earth is just is like hitting a tuning fork and clearing people out. A lot of people come here because they need to get away from whatever crap they were doing elsewhere. And I feel like Mother Earth just said, oh, you're going to come here, you're going to move here because you feel like you need to get away from the crap you were doing? Well, guess what? I'm just going to hit this tuning fork and clear you out. And so you better let it go, whatever it is that you brought with you. That's what it feels like to me.
I'm hearing that they're talking about that it's energy of the vortex. Right? And so that falls in lines in what you're saying, Elizabeth. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the vortex would it would bring you up to a different level. And I think to some extent that New Mexico requires that people are able to go to the next level or to move their energy. And a lot of people have been moving into Taos over the past 20 years, 30 years, and that's when you start hearing the hum. Wasn't there forever. People didn't hear it before.
No, the hum didn't start until we really had that huge influx.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's something along those lines, but when you walk around Taos, you have to be careful because there are so many weird little vortexes and energy swirls, and there's just something there that just breathes of its own. It's such an interesting thing, and I've always been able to kind of tune in on it, but I've never been allowed to follow it all the way. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Well, I think that the Taos Pueblo folks do know about some of this. They do know about the vortexes, and I think that they keep that very secret. And so they're probably protectors of that knowledge because, there's a bunch of white people like us up there now, and they're walking through stuff and doing stuff that the Pueblo people never would have done before. So, but it's still, they want it to be kept secret. They don't, just want to broadcast it. So, yeah. Taos is I wanted to move up above the rim over by Arroyo Hondo, and I haven't done that yet. I don't know if I ever will. I just don't think Dulce is as evil as a lot of people say. I drive by there all the time. What do you guys think of Dulce? What do you get when you look at it? With the supposed underground base.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I didn't know what it was till now. All right.
Underground alien.
I live up here in Canada, right?
Yeah. It's like asking us about Yellowknife. What do you think about Yellowknife? I don't know.
So this is like supposed to be an underground alien center?
Alien base, maybe with some U.S. government stuff involved. That's what people say. But what do you get when you look at it?
Okay. All right.
One of the fun things for me is that I knew an individual who had privilege to things like that. and we were watching a movie. And I don't know if this individual just happened to get caught up in the movie or whatever, but in their own weird changing the subject to the weather way, kind of confirmed for me that there was definitely something there. When I've been allowed to kind of buzz around it a little bit, it's a bit of both. It's us and them. And it's a really neat combination of energy because it really is working hard. How am I allowed to say this? I'm working very hard to say something I'm not allowed to say. There's a third party that we don't recognize also involved in this. And it makes it for a really interesting and fun place. I like the energy there. For someone like me, it's like, oh my God, I want to be here. I want to hang out and teach me. And they're like, no, because you have a big mouth and you talk too much.
Yeah, I was hearing it's like a cooperative. When people belong to a cooperative, that's what I heard. They were saying to me, it's a cooperative. And many different things can belong to a cooperative, and they all contribute in their own way. So when I was asking, is this ET? Is this human? What is this? They said, this is a cooperative.
Exactly. That's a really perfect word for it.
Jeanette?
So there you go. It's a
I'm
cooperative.
not getting anything. I'm
Not
getting
getting-
flat.
Nothing on
It's
you.
just flat. Yeah.
Not for you.
But I was also but another question came in while you were talking about that.
Okay.
Are we? It's kind of like the Men in Black thing. Are we like literally walking around, and especially in our government, the United States government, with non-human beings that are presenting as human everywhere?
Yes.
Is there anything that distinguishes that?
Not specifically.
No.
The goal is not to distinguish it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's like if you look at me, I'm a starseed. How can you tell I am and the person beside me isn't?
I don't know. I was just curious.
Yeah, so I think it's that way. They make themselves nondescript on purpose.
Yeah. I mean, I had that back in 91. I had.
What's the purpose?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Elizabeth. I just had to get that out before I forgot.
Well, different groups and beings are doing different things, and I just remember I saw a being that was displaying as a human, and I wasn't having a psychotic event. I had just had the ETs had worked on my head with light. And so I had this week where I was seeing through the dimensions. I was going to work, I was going to school, and I was seeing through the dimensions all at the same time. And so one of the people, I was walking down Milk Street, which is the financial district in Boston. I had to go to I had a skin doctor's, a dermatology appointment. And I'm walking down Milk Street to go to the doctor's office, and a guy with a hat, he's got like a kind of Australian hat on, and he's got a regular shirt on, and he's coming out of one of the financial buildings, and he looks really happy about something, and I could just feel what's coming off of him is this he's very happy about a meeting he's just had, and it has something to do with oil production, and it has something to do with his company getting a big contract, and then I look at him again, and he's not human.
What was he? What did he look like?
He looked like a gray alien that was made out of light. Not like a Zayton, just he was gray. He was made out of light, and to me, he looked like somebody who was in the power monger group, like what I call the power mongers. Like they are about getting all the money and all the energy for themselves. And he was very happy because he was going to be making a lot of money, and it had to do with money and energy, and he was getting that. That was going to be happening. Like, yes, I have just... It was like he had opened up some oil well reserve or something like that hadn't been accessible before. And then, the guy, I'm like watching him walk toward me, and I'm also getting this, he's a gray alien in human clothes, and then his face is over the top of him. And oh my goodness, there are beings around who are manipulating this earth that we're on in order to get all the energy and all the money for themselves. And I didn't have like a terrible reaction to it. I was just like, oh, I never really considered that before. It was like,
then they're not all that evolved if they really, or maybe we're not seeing the whole picture, if that is the most important thing to them and not just being in the non-physical and returning to a state of pure love.
They're not thinking about love. They're not thinking about the whole. They're thinking about energy and money, and they're kind of predators. They're kind of parasites, because they're about getting the energy out of everything. And the light color of him was not a bright white light. It wasn't like sometimes you'll see people walking down the street and they've done their work and they're just like, there's white light everywhere. This was just an opaque sort of gray, Is
that in the White House?
I was thinking the same thing.
Somebody had to say it.
My mind. I was like, can you tell?
Well, I think that this group of aliens, who I call the power mongers and maybe light beings or astral beings of some point, I think that they're a lot of why we are where we are. I think that they have managed to manipulate things to the extent that they have gotten us to the place where we're at. And it doesn't really matter now if somebody is one of them or isn't one of them. The system is set up so that they have these energy funnels of going to them. And
these are the dark forces that are in play now.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, conspiracy theorists go, I want to point my finger at you, and then I'm going to point my finger at you. And it's like, nah, the system's in place, and you might be a human who's, at the top of one of the energy funnels, or you might be one of them. And people just can't tell, because they didn't just have other aliens work on their head and make them see through dimensions. So, it's like, oh, okay. Well, anyway, on that joyous note,
we're out of time.
We are getting out of time. Hey, we're not always so circumspect about things and that sort of stuff. But Kelly, if people want to get a reading with you, how do they get to you?
They can look on my website at ancientvales.ca, or they can email me at ancientvales@gmail.com.
Okay. And Jeanette?
The easiest place is just to find me on Facebook or riverangelranch.com.
Okay. And Skeeter?
BlueMoonWeaver.com or BlueMoonWeaver@gmail.com.
Okay. So we got 3 awesome psychics here who are the real deal. Give them a shout when you need to, when you need something. And with that, this is Elizabeth Anglin at ElizabethAnglin.com during the rest of the week. We'll be back next Sunday with Kelly DelBianco and Paul Simons talking about the Series B Council. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you.
Asking to be saved, and the cold wind keeps on blowing.